You're watching KCCN TV 46, CBS for the Central Coast.
Big Sur International Marathon, brought to you by Ocean Chevrolet and Cellular One.
Hi everyone, I'm Hunter Fennell and welcome to the 11th annual Big Sur International Marathon. KCCN TV and yours truly are once again proud to present our half-hour special highlighting not only the 26.2-mile run, but also the 5th annual KCCN 5K for you numerology buffs. My sports cohort Ron Davis woke up early in the morning and brings us the sights and sounds of the marathon as it began.
Thanks, Hunter. Yes, Big Sur Marathon 1996 is here and just about ready to go, about 6:30 in the morning right now. But you know what? Before you run a marathon, you have to get ready to run a marathon. After months of training, the day has finally come, and the runners of the Big Sur Marathon bend, stretch, and twist themselves to get the early morning juices flowing.
Very important because the first marathon I did last month, I was so hurt. I mean, after the marathon, I was hurting. So this time I really wanted to stretch myself.
I think it's really mental conditioning, really. There's a lot of pain, I think, it's involved in a 26-mile race. So I'm trying to get myself psyched up in my head.
I'm scared about taking my sweats off. Once I take my sweats off, I guess I have to start running.
Finally, after weeks of anticipation and hours of nerves, it's time to go. Let's start the 11th annual Big Sur International Marathon. Around 3,000 strong-willed, able-bodied athletes off on a mission, a 26.2-mile mission to finish one of North America's best marathons. Of course, not all of these runners are out just to finish. About 25 or so, men and women, are in this thing to win. And after the first few miles, those world-class runners show who they are. For the men, a pack of two takes command. Call them the comrades, fellow Russians Valery Fedotov and Arkady Nikitin, sharing the lead as the pack of a half dozen trails behind. As for the women, at Point Sur, it's already a two-person race as well. Peninsula favorite Maria Trujillo of Marina matching strides with, get this, another Russian. Her name, Svetlana Vasilyeva. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just the beginning, though. We have a long way to go. But before we get too far, let's send it back to Hunter Fennell, who has a very special guest.
Well, Rod Davis will, of course, be back with the second leg of our marathon. But first, Olympic champion Frank Shorter won the gold in '72. Your thoughts on what these marathoners were thinking right before the race, Frank?
Well, when you're up there at the start, what you have to do is first tell yourself, look, I've done all the training I can do, all that remains to run the race. You're nervous, you've got butterflies, but you're also waiting for the start, because if you've done one before, you know it's sort of like going off a high dive. Once you go off, you're going to hit the water. And so you wait for the gun and you just try to use that excitement, you know, control that excitement, but also that plays into the first part of the race too. You have to not get so excited that in the first part, in this race particularly, you don't go out too hard.
But if you think you have a chance to win, if you know you're one of the elite runners, do you try to get that downhill start there at Pfeiffer State Beach and try to gun it?
What you do if you think you have a chance to win the race is be with the front pack. There are a lot of people who try to run this race from behind and catch people at the end. Usually 2 out of the top 3 spots will always come from the first group. So you stay with the first group no matter what it does, but you don't want to be the person in the lead. Unless you're trying to steal the race right from the beginning, but that will usually not happen, particularly in this day and age. It used to when the fields weren't as deep as they are today.
The weather factor today, couldn't have a better day. Big Sur is Big Sur today, Frank.
Well, everyone was talking yesterday about the heat. Oh, it was going to be so hot, and it turns out it's not going to be that hot out there. It really isn't, so
And
it's not a factor.
Especially at the start of the race, in the trees there, you're in the shade.
Yeah, but again, you don't worry about that. You're worrying about the last 6 miles and how hot it's going to be there, because basically this race is run in a 20-mile first half and a 6-mile second half, and so you don't want that heat in the second half, and it looks like it's not going to be a factor. So actually, pretty good conditions.
Coming up on the Big Sur International Marathon Special, we'll see how the runners fare through a critical second leg of the race and meet some people along the way who give the event its world-famous personality.
Okay, time to get serious, because this is where the race gets serious. The climb to Hurricane Point, starting around mile marker 10. From sea level, up, 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 to 560 feet above the powerful Pacific. Finally, at Hurricane Point, the painful, arduous 2-mile climb ends. And at the top, the Eastern Tango continues. Fedatov and Nikitin taking on the challenge together. About a mile later, at the halfway mark, and what a halfway mark it is, world-famous Bixby Bridge. Fedatov and Nikitin, training buddies back in Florida, looking like they're out for a friendly jog. Meanwhile, for the ladies at Bixby Bridge, Svetlana Vasilyeva suddenly in control. She handles the up and down of Hurricane Point a bit better than Marina's Trujillo, the local gal about a minute behind at the halfway point. 13 miles down, 13 more to go. The second half of the race, full of little climbs and subtle descents. Definitely not a cakewalk as the Russians make a run for the 1996 Big Sur Marathon titles. To get some insight as to what the runners are feeling and thinking at this point, let's go back to Hunter Fennell and Frank Shorter.
Thanks very much, Rod. Again, back with Olympian Frank Shorter. Frank, you know that 9 miles from Little Sur River Bridge up to Sobranos Point. You hit Hurricane Point, and the race becomes a race.
Yeah, I've run up Hurricane Point. That really is the key to this race. Either something will happen going up that hill. That's just about 10 miles into the race. Either something will happen, things begin to happen, but at worst, those who are in the lead at the top of Hurricane Point will have the best chance of winning this race. So that's really the key part, and all the work comes down off of Hurricane Point and again on to 16 miles from there. If you got any kind of lead after 16 miles in this race, then you really can enjoy the scenery.
Well, I know they're gorgeous venues in Hawaii and other places, but your thoughts as you come through that area, Hurricane Point and so forth, it is almost unmatched, isn't it?
It really is, and it's not just because I'm here. I've run in Honolulu, which is a beautiful marathon. I've run all over the world. This is the place, and it's the measure is what race has the most cameras being carried by people who stop and take pictures, and on that criteria, Big Sur wins hands down.
And sticking with the beauty factor, here's our own Les Patinas with some more luscious scenery and some gorgeous people along the way.
You know, you gotta be in the right mood to run 26 miles, even along the beautiful Big Sur coastline.
Gotta go.
What's gonna keep you going? What do you have in there?
Oh, I have a mix of music that I put together myself. A lot of dance music to get the rhythm going and just keep the energy up.
Go for it! Well, once you do break away from the pack, it gets kind of lonely. You kind of look for other things to keep you inspired. Hey there!
Hey, how you doing?
What's an orchestra like you doing in a place like this?
Well, beautiful day, a lot of good runners, a lot of people. They always love what we say, even no matter how we sound. They enjoy us, and we're happy to be out here.
All right, well, thanks for keeping me going.
Hey, keep going. Good luck.
All right. Number 131. What's the music do for you?
Oh, it's wonderful. Gets me going, makes me want to run the rest of the way.
Good. Looking good.
Feeling better though?
Yeah, I am. Music's terrific. It's a nice touch.
How you doing?
Very good. I'm playing one of my own songs here.
Oh, well, you know, it's the middle of the race, and I'm feeling a little bit tired. Could you pick it up a little bit?
Sure.
Yes! No matter what beat they ran to, this was definitely a race for all runners to remember for the sights and sounds of the Big Sur Marathon. And for most folks, it wasn't about best personal records or competition. For a lot of people, just being here was enough reward.
Look great.
Thank you.
Les Bettina's Central Coast News.
When we come back, the home stretch looks inviting, but it can make or break the race for the leaders. And the marathon wasn't the only game in town. We'll show you some of the other races that took place.
Crunch time has arrived. The final few miles of the race. Svetlana Vasilyeva, the 25-year-old Russian, all alone on a Big Sur record pace for the women. Gasping, straining, pushing to reach the end. Meanwhile, for the men, the friendly competition has disappeared. The duo has become a solo. Valery Fedotovich, a giant leap ahead, his Kyrgyzstanian partner Arkady Nikitin nowhere in sight. At mile 20, Nikitin has fallen back to third, and an American, Los Angeles resident Hector Lopez, the new second-place pursuer. The finish line now just minutes away. Decomposer, the ominous yet welcome figure, telling the runners that just a mile remains. We'll see the finish and talk to the winners in a minute, but first, a look at the day's other Big Sur events. Here's Sherry Gyro.
Park bathers, sad.
The 5K race got underway at 7:30 a.m. sharp. Thousands of people took part in the race, but the most popular group in the crowd were the kids. 1,100 kids showed up in their tennies and KCCN 5K t-shirts, most of them from Gavilan Middle School. Teachers and principals didn't really have to bribe their students to run, but a 20-minute free pass out of class did help a little.
I think the kids need to learn that they're not only helping charity, but they're also having healthy bodies.
And to Stephanie Blanco, getting noticed is what's important to her.
Have you ever done anything like this?
Yeah, I did it last year.
How'd you do?
Good, I got third place.
Third place? So are you shooting for maybe the same?
Yeah.
Or better? What are you aiming at? Kelly.
Under 30 minutes, and like between, I would get a medal.
That tells us that they really are into running now, which is a great exercise for them.
Well, the 5K is perfect for people like me who really don't know what they're doing, but they want to come out here and get some exercise and have a lot of fun.
It's a nice, easy race. It's scenic. It's gorgeous. It's a great day today.
Of course, there's always the serious runners in the 5K race. Jamie Harris won with a time of 15 minutes and 4 seconds. The prize money he'll get will go a long way for him.
I'll cover the rent for a while, and I'll take a month off of work and just train and hopefully get ready for the Olympic trials and run fast.
And this is a race for the less serious. It's called the Walk, 1.5 miles, something that's relaxing to Dennis Dene.
Why walk instead of run?
Well, because I have run. I much prefer walking.
Water, agua, water, H2O. Water.
Even the volunteers noticed a big difference when the walkers came by.
More thermal heat from the runners, a blanket of heat when they came through, and the walkers are not quite as intense.
Many marathon runners started preparing hours before they stepped foot on the course. Gina Kim has the lowdown on Saturday night's high-carbo party.
Eat up, eat up. Gotta eat up.
They call it the Carbo Party, a not so strenuous but crucial pre-race ritual that brings contestants together for a common purpose. Anyone who's ever run a marathon can tell you why.
Carbohydrates are fun. I mean, they are the sugars and the energy foods that we eat, but they're particularly important for performance because they are the best fuel source that can be readily used by the body.
Some prospective runners took their carbo dinners very seriously.
The chemical components are basically made up of saccharides, monosaccharides, disaccharides. Most of them are complex, but the basic ones are glucose, sucrose, fructose, and when they're hooked together, that's when they make up complex carbohydrates. And that's the stuff that the runners use for long-term energy.
And others not so seriously.
What are the chemical components of carbohydrates?
Carbohydrates, beer.
Beer was not only the beverage of choice at this 11th annual Carbo Dinner, it was also a popular theme among longtime runners.
Every run's a beer run. You get up in the morning, you go out and you run, you come home and get a beer. I've been known during a marathon to go search for the Budweiser truck.
Like the marathon itself, the dinner brought together people from all backgrounds, from all over the world, for some pre-race socializing and tension relief. It was even a reunion of sorts for long-distance siblings like Jean, Bob, and Rita, who flew in from 3 different states just to run the marathon.
Feel great. Feel great.
Wonderful.
Yes. And in the end, the comforts of the Marriott, the rows of food, and good company left most feeling marathon ready and quite content. Gina Kim, Central Coast News.
There's still a lot more ahead. In fact, for the runners of the marathon, everything lies ahead. The finish line. We'll show you who crosses it first when we come back.
It's 4 days at the fairgrounds in Monterey.
Finish line, here we come. A nice crowd along Highway 1 to welcome home the first runner to finish the 11th Big Sur International Marathon, the men's winner. No surprise, he's led pretty much the whole way. Bib number 26, the Russian Valery Fedotovich, hitting the tape at 2 hours, 23 minutes, and 34 seconds. No, it's not a record, but Fedotovich's fellow countrywoman Svetlana Vasilyeva does set a record. The petite 25-year-old, barely 5 feet tall, small in stature, but big in talent and determination. Svetlana wins the women's side of the 1996 Big Sur in a time of 2 hours, 41 minutes, and 35 seconds. That's almost a minute better than Ann Trayson's record set back in 1993. Hunter Fennell caught up to the winners and got their victorious comments.
Сейчас 3-й марафон я выиграл.
He has participated in 3 marathons already, and this is the first time he won. And the first marathon was in Orlando, and he was the 10th one, and the second one was in Las Vegas, and he was the 3rd one, and right now in Big Sur, and he's the winner.
I started running in Los Angeles, and I know that it's a tough city. And you guys have a very beautiful country here. You gotta go out there and run. And all this. You guys gotta make it this the best marathon ever next year, hopefully. Я рад этому.
Of course, he's very happy that he won the marathon, but he's very happy to have friends and to meet people that come from the same part of land he comes from, and to see his native blood.
She coming from Russia in February. She started working for marathon altogether. She's so happy.
She's not training in Florida with Valerie, is she? Because he's been in Florida.
Yes, with him, yes. All time with him.
Okay. Is there a relationship there, or they're not?
No. Do вы с ним друзья, как близкие? Или друзья, или
друзья? Нет. No.
Нет, only friend. Only good friend.
Only friends. And of course, congratulations to our Big Sur Marathon winners who each pocket $5,000 apiece, get a trip on United Airlines, Frank Shorter. And while there was some question, though, about the winner, Valerie Fedotov, they said might have run out of the lane. Your thoughts on this pending appeal?
Well, given the nature of this course and the amount by which Fedotov won, I don't think there's any way, even if he cut the tangents, what we call cutting the corners, cutting around cones, it would have had any effect on the outcome. I think if it had possibly some effect on the outcome, you could think of it differently, but I think you have to consider it in the international spirit of the race, give them the benefit of the doubt of things being lost in translation. And again, if you can make that judgment that it did not affect any placings in the race, then I don't think they should be held to the sort of technical certainty of disqualification.
And of course, Svetlana, who won the women's race, beat Ann Trayson's course record here. She was doing something right.
Well, Vasileva was clearly the most well-conditioned woman. Maria Trujillo tried to stay with her, got left on the hill on Hurricane Point, which everyone figures is the place where that can happen. And since it happened there, it demonstrated that she was indeed the one who was best conditioned, and she just ran away with the race. And of course, $5,000 to Russians based in Florida in the U.S. trying to make money so they can survive back home, they're the ones with the incentive. And maybe the American athletes need a little more incentive like that.
Frank, you like this Big Sur Marathon, don't you?
This is, I think, a unique marathon. That's why I come back every year. It's so nicely situated, it's so well established now, and I think what's most important is the community. The entire peninsula has really taken on what I call a proprietary interest. They kind of feel an ownership in the race now, which is what Bill Burley wanted to happen when he started the race. So it's at the point now where it's everybody's race, and that's what they should have. Plus, it's the most natural marathon course in the world. There's a sign right there, says 26 miles to Big Sur. You got to have a marathon.
Okay, congratulations to our winners. Frank Shorter, you did well in the 5K, by the way, the KCCN 5K.
I was okay. I was third in my age group. I've had orthoscopic knee surgery. My only problem now is I felt so good today, I don't have any more excuses.
Okay, no more excuses for Frank Shorter, for myself, Hunter Fennell, KCCN TV, the volunteers, the Big Sur. We'll see you down the road for Big Sur number 12.
The Big Sur International Marathon, brought to you by Ocean Chevrolet and Cellular One.